Jabroni, Jabronixyz, oh, it doesn't matter, you spell jabroni.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast. BJ Cruz here with my tag team partner, the man who is definitely part of Retribution, but just won't say anything, the incomparable Jeremy Loss. Jay, what is up, dude?
There's a reason why we didn't show up on TV tonight is because I was watching SummerSlam from the comfort of my own home. So there may be something there to your theory. What a SummerSlam! It
was great.
This was great. I think this is actually better than last year's. I think there was only maybe two duds out of this whole card. Everything else kind of delivered for me.
Oh yeah, it was a great show. We're recording right after SummerSlam here, and fired up, man. We'll run through the whole card because there's a lot to talk about. But let's run through some logistics first. We of course brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network, the best podcast network in the entire world, and our friends over at betonline.ag. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts. And if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling spicy, leave a review. And our Spotify people, hit us with that follow. Help us climb those Spotify charts.
Make sure you also subscribe and like our YouTube channel. It's Two Jabronis with the Wrestling Podcast. Give us some views, give us some likes, give us some subscribers. We want to see that thing get off the ground. Make sure that you also follow us on social at Two Jabronis Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. We're getting very close to hitting a new milestone on Twitter. I think we're a couple of followers away from 200, which would be great for us because once we get to 200, we'll just start snowballing. We'll get up to a couple thousand, you know.
Yeah,
so
200 is the hump. 200 is
it's always the hump.
Yeah,
it's the hump. And then you can follow me on Twitter personally at Jeremy A. Loss, and you can follow Ben at Cruise Control. That's Control with a K. Now, let's stick to wrestling.
Before we get to that, I have to apologize to you while I have you face to face and the listeners. We had a full show, a full blown SummerSlam and Takeover 30 preview show that we recorded Friday night. It was pretty solid in my opinion.
A lot of
we actually
correct
called,
predictions that we had.
We actually called a lot of what was going to happen tonight in terms of what we both thought would happen, including Roman coming back. We both threw that out there, or maybe it was you. I'll give you the credit.
It was me. Don't try to give yourself credit. It was all me.
That's fine. I'm a team player. you called it, but for the first time in 5 years of doing podcasts, both behind the scenes and on the mic, the show did not record. So it was an hour-long pod, and I tell you this, there was no emptier feeling than realizing after an hour and change of recording a pod that it did not capture the audio. And it's, there's just, you can't recapture that magic. So we decided to take the L, and we're just going to fire it up on today, right after SummerSlam, and I think we'll make the best of it. But again, thanks for hanging in there. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but we are back. We might have 3 shows this week because we've got today. We'll be back on the mics tomorrow after Raw, and then we'll be back on Thursday as well on the mics. So it's going to be a fantastic week. Enough of that. Again, I'm sorry. Thanks for sticking with us. But speaking of sticking to stuff, it's time to stick to wrestling. And this week's Stick to Wrestling, this show's Stick to Wrestling, is just our SummerSlam reaction. And wow, what a show. I'm fired up still. Where do you want to start? You want to work backwards? How do you want to do this? I
do want to work backward because we need to have, it makes sense to work backwards because we need to talk about this Roman reveal. We kind of predicted it on Friday. It just kind of made sense as to why this would be the main event, and they were kind of teasing, like, you'll never see it coming. It was literally like something big was going to happen, whether it was Edge coming back or whatever, and the fact that they got Roman back, just kind of, also like when you were watching the show and you're like, oh, they're putting Braun Bray last. Like that makes a ton of sense to have Roman come back. So I thought it was a really impactful return. I love the shirt. I think I'm going to buy one because I think this might be the best shirt WWE has created in quite some time.
I might one up you on that and buy the sleeveless hoodie version because that shit looks incredible.
Yeah, it's great shirt. The only issue that I had with the actual return was the production because I shared it on Twitter. A 50-second clip had 24 cuts in it.
It was a lot of cuts. It was
just a lot of cuts.
Headache.
Really wish WWE would figure that out and just get away from like hitting that cut button because they just overdo it to the point where it's nauseating. So that was my only drawback. It was kind of a heelish return. He was beating the shit out of both of those guys
and talking mad shit.
Yeah, so I'm kind of down if they want to make him like that bad, like even if he's kind of a face in a sense, but he's that badass face where he's not like he's almost blurring the lines between the two. I like that because I don't know if they can actually do a full heel for Roman, similar to what they couldn't do with John Cena,
just because of his spot in the company. Like he's the top guy, he's the top literal face of the company. He does a lot of meet and greets and make-a-wishes and stuff. So I totally get that, but. You're right. He just had this edge to him that just we haven't seen in a very, very long time. Like the amount of shit he was talking to Braun, like I make you the monster. Like you're nothing without me, basically, and just going nuts on the Fiend, telling him he can't handle carrying the show. Like that's kind of heel-ish banter from Roman.
Yeah, he also looked tanner.
Oh,
and I think he got some new teeth.
Oh, he definitely got some. I don't know if those are
they
veneers
were shining
or whatever. You shouldn't say you think he got new teeth. He definitely got new teeth, and he's also, dude. He's super jacked. I don't know.
He's in great shape.
I don't know if he was wearing a medium shirt, but he was ready to pop out that thing. Like, like his arms they fell out. They looked like they were being suffocated by the sleeves. It was but I mean, we've seen on social like he's been grinding. He's just been working out, getting ready for this, and he looked phenomenal.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to see where they go from here. It almost seemed with him attacking both Braun and the Fiend that they're leaning toward a triple threat potentially. I don't know if they run it back that quickly and have it at Payback, or if they wait for another month. But I'm assuming they're going to go triple threat to start.
Yeah.
So work him in because he hasn't been in the ring for so long that I don't know if he needs some kind of masking in terms of just getting back up to speed.
Sure.
So have the triple threat and then have him go to the Fiend. They need to have him go to the Fiend. Leave Braun out of this. This is one thing I will say because this match was kind of dumb. I did not like this match.
It was a weird match. It wasn't very enjoyable. Like Braun cutting up when he took the box cutter, my first instinct was like, oh shit, he's gonna try to stab the Fiend. I
was like, oh, we're getting deathmatch Braun. I was like pumped up. I was like,
and then he started doing arts and crafts on the ring, canvas, and like exposing the wood. But yeah, it was a weird. The pacing just felt off, and that's
the pacing was really bad. I think that's a problem not only with Braun matches, but with the Fiend matches. The Fiend matches tend to be a little slow, a little sloggy. Outside of the Finn Balor match, because I mean, obviously Finn is a smaller guy. He can get up and go. He can ramp things up a little bit. So I'm starting to feel like the Fiend really needs a foe that has a little bit more oomph to him, that can move, that can be a little bit more agile. Roman is perfect for that. Roman has a lot, he is a very agile man for being big. So maybe that will kind of rejuvenate me when it comes to Fiend matches. But Fiend matches, Braun matches have just been sluggish, and they don't interest me as much anymore. So this one was just extra bad, especially in contrast to the Randy Orton Drew McIntyre match, because that match was awesome.
It was a great match. Weird
they
ending.
Told a fucking story. Man, they were great.
Weird ending. Definitely did not see the backslide being the finish to any match in 2020 or in the past, I don't know, 20 years. But other than that, you're right. That was a fire match. Before we move on to Drew and Randy, do you think they put the strap on Roman right away? at Payback? I mean, I know it's a week away. Everyone's kind of been shitting on the fact that it is a quick turnaround for another pay-per-view, but is The Fiend a transitional champion, or do they, like you mentioned, run it back as a triple threat, have The Fiend pin Braun to retain, and then move forward with Roman Fiend, because Roman can claim he was never pinned in the match?
I definitely think they put the belt on Roman. I don't think it happens at Payback. But I think it happens fairly soon after that. They need somebody to kind of rejuvenate those SmackDown ratings, because the SmackDown ratings have not been great.
Right.
And Roman is the man. So I think they do end up putting it on Roman pretty soon. I just don't think it's going to be that quickly at Payback.
Man,
I don't even like. I mean, we don't even know what the card is going to look like at Payback. I don't even know if they're going to do this match, because there's other things that they need to do. Like, they need to do Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles. They need to do Drew versus Randy again, which we'll get into. They need to do the tag titles. So they have a lot of things already on their plate, and I don't know if they want to run a larger show. So we'll see where they go. Maybe they just wait they wait a month and then they put it on Roman. But let's shift gears to that Drew Randy match.
Yeah.
I thought the story that they told was great. I really love what Randy is doing, where he's not going above and beyond in terms of like the in-ring work that he's doing, but he's just doing the right things. You know what I mean? Like, every single thing that he's doing is telling another bit of the story. He's selling a little bit differently. He's hitting his moves a little bit differently. Like, just everything is just working to a T with him. And Drew was just right on par with him tonight as well. This was the match that Drew desperately needed for this title run. He needed to solidify himself and get back into, I am the main dog here. I am the champion for a reason, and this solidified it. They 100% run this back at Payback, though. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the finish. Like, Randy's not going to go out on a backslide. Although I did find it hilarious that Randy sold the backslide finish much more than HBK sold the punt on Monday. Randy was selling the shit out of that backslide. He was in pain. He was in shock. HBK took the punt on Monday, kind of got back up and was cutting a promo by Sunday. Meanwhile, Flair, Edge, and Christian nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen.
I love the fact that Drew did the figure 4 too.
Yeah,
like just subtle things like that is what really
homage.
puts the match over the edge for me. But I thought it was great. So now I'm really interested to see them do this again at Payback. Maybe Randy gets one back, and then we have a feud going a little bit further, maybe towards Survivor Series. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I thought this was Drew's best match since WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think he looked reinvigorated, re-energized, if you will. And like, I think that has to do with the fact that they were having a match in a big arena again. Right, like, you know, Thunderdome is, you know, we're kind of used to it now, I guess, since you know, it debuted on SmackDown, but Raw didn't get that last week, right, or the past couple months, even. And for Drew, even his entrance, right, him coming out in a big arena, you know, the Jumbotron playing his music playing with the graphics coming on the Jumbotron with him as champion, it just looked correct. It looked so right, and he fits the part. And that's just probably the validation that he needs when he watches it back, because I'm sure he's going to watch it back to critique kind of himself and figure out things he can do better. But, you know, I'm sure in the back of his mind, on some level, he's wondering, do I translate to a bigger audience? Because his whole run has been in front of the Performance Center, like in the Performance Center, right? So this was really cool to see Drew in a big stage, and he didn't look small at all. Like, some people just don't fit that, right? Even like someone like Braun, big dude, Universal Champion, but he just, when you see him on screen with a belt, you're just like, all right, I get it. He's okay.
Braun like fails to reach the mark when it's on a big stage like this.
Yeah,
like Drew definitely stood up and really like went up for the chance here and was doing what was necessary. Braun just kind of cowers away a little bit, and I don't know if it's just like I've really soured on Braun since his initial run kind of got ruined by the fact that they didn't put the belt on him in the right time, or the fact that he was a giant douchebag when all the the guys were getting cut and
Oh,
all
the
the
indie
indie wrestlers
dudes?
were going
Yeah.
through issues. Like that really like irked me. So I don't know if it's that, but like Braun just does not do it for me at all.
And I
like
think-
it is not enjoyable to watch.
I think what it is too is Braun, and I don't want to turn this into like a shitting on Braun session, but we're just comparing the two, right? When Braun kind of has like one level, he has one speed, he has one kind of move when he's not in the ring, and it's just like he's a monster, so he's just always going to go back to that. What Drew has shown during this run is he has levels to him, right? Like he can be the white meat baby face, right? And like have his little countdown to the Claymore. He can do that. He can be manipulative a little bit, like messing with Dolph. When Dolph requested a rematch, he's like, well, I'm not going to tell you what the stipulation is. I'm going to do what you did to me and reveal it right before the match. And then there's him like being super emotional, super passionate with his feud with Randy, right? Like you did this to Flair, you did this to a bunch of legends. Like I'm going to kick your ass. And I think that is why Drew is resonating a lot more with everyone than Braun ever has as champion. So, and I think that was just even cemented tonight when you see both of them come out and Drew comes out with the title. Did you notice he didn't have any, like his cape was gone. Like the usual, the thing he usually wears down to the ring. It was just him, his wrestling gear, and the belt. And the music, pyro, and it looked incredible. And you're like, holy shit, this dude is a fucking star. Excuse my language. And then you have Braun, who's kind of actually undergone more of a change physically and aesthetically. Like he shaved his head. He wore some sort of camo hunting gear to the ring tonight. And you're like, that doesn't do it for me anyway. And I think you feel the same. So there's just a lot that Drew is just doing well that, you know, I'm not saying Braun can't do it, but in this run, Drew has just done it a lot better.
Yeah, I think they have found what is working for Drew, and they're just hitting it hard. And I still think they're struggling to figure out what works well with Braun. There was that quick moment in time a few years ago when he was red hot.
Yes.
And then it just dissipated. And I think they're still struggling to figure out what exactly that he does that will connect with fans. And it's every time they try something new with him, it just falls flat fairly quickly. So there's a lot of work to be done in trying to figure out what is going to get him over on a consistent basis. I think when it comes to Drew, they found it and they're really hitting it hard. Let's shift gears let's talk about the women's title matches back to back here.
Yeah.
Let's just put them together. So Asuka ends up walking out of here with the Raw belt, and now it seems like the split is coming.
It's imminent.
Because the way they played this out was Sasha put her body on the line for Bayley, took the bump, and then Bayley was able to get the roll up to beat Asuka. On the other hand, Bayley moved out of the way, didn't take the bump. Asuka was able to recover and then tap out Sasha. So it's very interesting.
I have an issue with that. That's how they presented it. My issue with it was the person who wasn't wrestling. So in the first match, it was Sasha. Second match, it's Bayley. The whole point was to distract, right? So when Sasha takes the hit from Asuka, she distracts. Bayley's able to finagle her way to the win, right? Bayley distracts, doesn't get hit, but Sasha still gets offense in. Like she got her in the bank statement, right? So both distractions worked. They worked,
but like it's different because Bayley, with Sasha putting her body on the line, there's that trauma of like, you're hitting and you get distracted. You maybe get like you may be off kilter a little bit, like. And so I guess what they're playing at is if she runs into Bayley, she may lose a sense as to where she is, and she's not able to recover to put Bayley or Sasha in the Asuka lock. But I get what you're saying. Like they both did quote unquote distractions, and they just did it in different ways.
And arguably, though, Bayley's distraction was more effective because Sasha was able to get Asuka in the bank statement. Like she got her in her finisher. Like that's the whole goal, is to help your friend, like put them in a better position to get in some offense. Sasha literally put in her most powerful move, her finisher, and Asuka just happened to reverse it. And so is that on Bayley?
It is on Bayley because also while Sasha's in the Asuka lock, she's yelling for Bayley.
So what? Bayley's supposed to interfere?
Yes, DQ.
Oh,
Keep the belts.
I mean, I guess
Do anything, any means necessary.
So, okay, that's fine. I'll give you that. If they want to make that the story, like, why didn't you get the DQ? Like, I'll take the loss, but I keep the title. Make that the story. Don't make it that Bayley didn't take the bump. That just doesn't make sense to me. Because if you watch it,
body on the line.
Watch it side by side. I want a TNT Kenny Smith-esque side by side of these two distractions. Bayley's was better because it helped Sasha lock in the bank statement.
No. Sasha's was better because Bayley ultimately won.
Oh,
you got to put your body on the line for your friend.
How about this? Sasha just lost.
You're an asshole.
She got her shit reversed into Asuka's finisher.
Also, she gave Asuka the power bomb on the outside.
Oh, that was incredible.
Asuka 100% got a concussion.
Oh my
God, that was
fucking
brutal. But both those matches, I mean, it is clear as day that those three women are head and shoulders above everybody else. When Becky and Charlotte are gone, those three are just phenomenal in the ring. They all have chemistry together. Both those matches kicked ass. I thought they both told incredible stories, but like, it's just so nice to see these little bitty bits of tension come through. Like, if you watch the interview after Bayley won, where Sasha was talking about how she could win.
If she can do it, I can do it.
Yes.
And then
Bayley gave her the look. And I was
Wait a
like,
minute.
Jesus Christ, this is exactly what I want to see. So the split is coming. It's gonna hit hard at Payback because they're losing those tag belts. And Sasha's gonna be fucking pissed, and then that's when it's gonna happen. And I can't wait because I think we said this on Friday,
the last episode
on our last episode. This is the main event for WrestleMania 37. Clear as day.
Calling it now.
There's no other option here, unless it's Randy versus Edge for the title. It has to be Bayley versus Sasha because this story is fucking incredible. So good. So
yeah, I mean, well, let me push back on that real quick. Just as a spitball, if we get crowds back, if we figure this out, and there's a crowd in LA for WrestleMania 37, I would love for Sasha Bayley to be the main event. But if everything's back, fans are back, we're in LA, WrestleMania 37, isn't the main event Roman Rock?
I mean, that was our initial prediction, but I don't think we're gonna be back to normal.
Sure. So like
we may be in LA for WrestleMania, but it's definitely not gonna be a full crowd.
Yeah. We'll be a social distance watching it at a hotel bar.
I'll be air fiving you from like a different aisle.
Yeah.
I just don't think they can pull off Roman Rock. With everything going on, I think the amount of money that The Rock is going to ask for.
I'm just spitballing.
I would love to see it. I think that would make a ton of sense, and it'd be, especially if they're going to turn Roman heel.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why that thought came back in my mind, because your prediction of Sasha Bayley at 37 has been in my mind since Friday, and I was like, that makes total sense. Like, it's the best storyline going, or it will be. But then once Roman came back tonight, he kind of had that edge, kind of had that heelish look, and those fantastic new teeth, great new shirt. I was like, wait a minute, Rocky could be making an appearance. But again, this is all.
I mean, they could wrestle for the ownership of the XFL.
Oh yeah, I'm in on that. Vince interferes.
I mean, in all likelihood, if shit does get close to normal, that is the A+++ move. Like, that is, you have to call The Rock and say, look, this is your last match. We need Roman to get like super duper over.
The Uber bump.
Do us a favor.
Yeah.
Come out, give us 15 minutes and just put him the fuck over.
Right.
And like, if they don't, Sasha Bayley is there, and that is a moneymaker. I don't care what anybody says. That is a fucking great feud, great story, and I would watch that all day at WrestleMania.
Do you have
30 minutes?
Do you have one of the other horsemen in each person's corner?
No, leave them the fuck out of it.
Okay.
Like, leave them out of it. Give me
just two people.
Brooklyn Takeover again. Just let them go at it, because I don't know if you watched the documentary.
The Untold. It was fantastic.
Man, I rewatched those clips and I was getting goosebumps.
Yeah,
that match was incredible.
I was getting emotional toward at the end when like
so like
they pinned. Oh man,
I think that's a moneymaker. I think that's the way to go. I know that they had the women headlining a couple of years ago, but I think this one really has a story that could take it over the top. Also, Sasha needs to win a title match on a pay-per-view. Just give it to me once.
She's on a losing streak.
At WrestleMania, all sins are forgiven for me. If Sasha is able to end this storyline on a main event, at WrestleMania, holding the title up with the fireworks going off and everything, all sins are forgiven for me.
That's so crazy, right? It's just we think as wrestling fans, like, man, how could they do this? Like, this is so shitty. X ideas sucks. X person sucks. How could they put Y person in this position? But like you said, they can change it. They can flip a switch, and this is why they keep us coming back, right? Because they'll probably do something like that where we're like, all right, that was awesome, and we're just back to zero. We're back to equilibrium. Anyway,
yep.
It's
yeah. So I mean, I like that. We're getting that split. It's coming. Asuka with a belt is fine. It might be Asuka's Shayna next. After Shayna gets done with Nia.
I think it is because Shayna definitely put her name in the hat for the Raw Women's title.
Yeah.
So and she was in the tag match with Asuka and Bayley and Sasha on Monday. So she's definitely next in line, and I think that's a great opponent for Asuka moving forward.
Yeah, and it gets. I mean, we need to also figure out what show Sasha and Bayley are needed on. I like them more on SmackDown than I do on Raw.
I think SmackDown is needed much more because there's a bunch of women on Raw who just are kind of getting buried a little bit. The Iconics are there, the Riot Squad, freaking Shayna Baszler up until the past couple of weeks was nowhere to be found. So I think it's time to just let all of them shine, give them some time. And Sasha Bayley on SmackDown, like SmackDown's where they need the ratings, right? Like
they need those A+ storylines.
USA is what it is. Like those ratings will be what they are. How long did they sign with Fox? I think it was like a 5-year deal or something like that. Like they need to be able to prove that they can deliver ratings on Friday nights, and Sasha and Bayley are that right now for WWE. Like they're the hottest act in the business. I mean, Roman came back tonight, but currently they're the best storyline here.
Let's talk about this Dominik Seth Rollins match, because this was the best storytelling in a match in a WWE match that I've seen in quite some time.
It was good.
This was fucking awesome.
I enjoyed, and from the get-go too, right? Seth rocking Ray's
a Halloween Havoc
gear from Halloween Havoc, like right off the top, you're like, oh, he's taking shots. Like this is phenomenal. And then Dominik was wrestling in a hoodie in what looked to be like Seth Rollins' Jace ring gear or
like
Sub-Zero
gear.
Yeah, it was like Sub-Zero Ricochet meets Seth Rollins. So that was cool. And on the Lost episode, we both actually predicted, I believe, that Dominik would go over. And as we kind of got through the match, it just kind of made more sense that Seth would eventually go over, because Dominik losing to Seth actually doesn't really do any harm to him, because it's like, you lost to one of the best wrestlers in the business and one of the top names in WWE. Okay, your first match in WWE was at SummerSlam against that guy. So it doesn't do anything to hurt him. And, they protected him as much as they could in terms of they made it a street fight. So in terms of any botches or any mess ups, like there was stuff to clean that up. And yeah, it ended up being a lot better match than I thought. My biggest gripe with the match was Dominik's frog splash. It was, oh boy.
You are a harsh frog splash critic.
What are you talking about? No, he had no pump, no extension. He had like
it's his first match. Give him some fucking break here.
But, okay, that's fine.
I mean, he was paying honor. He was paying homage to his real dad. He was. I mean, big ups to him.
You're a jackass.
I was crying a little bit.
You're a jackass. But look, I'm saying, if you know you're gonna do the frog splash, you got to practice the extension. Like that's such a big part of the move. Like, and we saw an example of that at the beginning of the card. Montez Ford, best frog splash ever. This man extends, he jumps super high, and he's adding a spin. He's adding a spin to the frog splash, and it looks
doing too much.
amazing.
He's doing too much.
No, he's not doing too much. Doing too much. What are you talking about?
All right, Dominik's frog splash is not perfect, but it will get there. I thought for his first in-ring match, it was great. I don't think it was as good as Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee blew my fucking expectations out of the water.
Pat McAfee.
Jesus, my guy is a fucking American Ninja or something. I don't understand where this came from.
Move that guy to Raw or SmackDown immediately.
He did a fucking moonsault off the top rope, and then jumped up to the top rope and hit a superplex.
Yeah,
I was flabbergasted. But Dominik's match
crazy athletic
was great. Seth Rollins just proved that he is one of the best in the company. He carried that match.
The way
was expected.
The way he sold for Dominik too was like,
yep,
you're a friggin' champ, dude. Like you just get it. He was
great.
Yeah,
and big ups to Adam Cole too, because Adam Cole did the exact same thing.
Sold
Pat McAfee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They both just showed like, hey, we're fucking A+ players here because we can make people look like $1 million in their first match.
Yep.
Dominik has a really bright future. He is really great. He's going to have to be in the right feud and really probably have to spend some time at the Performance Center to really get honed in on some things. But he has a lot of really good skills. He has a good skill set. I love the storytelling with Ray ringside, fighting the urge to go in and fight for his son. Yeah. I really wanted to, personally, I wanted to see the turn. I wanted to see him. Like, I love a good turn. I wanted to see it.
I know.
But it's okay. They need to move away from this eye shit too. They try to do the eye on the corner of the stairs. Can we not do that anymore? I don't want to see.
Yeah, we got to
shit.
move on from the
eye
attack.
Yeah, I loved every bit of the storytelling here. I love Seth just talking shit throughout it, like telling Ray to come get your son, and then the finish,
really good
with Ray being handcuffed. Like you can see the agony, and it was just well put together. So I would assume that this storyline continues. I think Ray needs to get his quote unquote payback.
Does it? I mean, I think it's time to move on.
You gotta keep this shit going.
I think. Well, I was going to ask you this at the end of the show, but I'm just going to ask you now because it's top of mind. Keith Lee's debuting on Raw tomorrow. I feel like that's Seth Rollins' first feud post Ray. You know,
I can see.
Get Keith's feet a little bit wet with the Raw roster, and who better to go against than the Monday Night Messiah? He's the locker room leader, or the self-proclaimed locker room leader on Raw.
I have a feeling
little prove yourself match.
I have a feeling they're gonna put Keith Lee in the Apollo Crews MVP feud.
Oh God, I hope not. I like the Hurt Business. I like what they're doing. I hope not either.
I just have a feeling that Vince is gonna go like, I know what feud to put him in. Let's put him in with the Hurt Business and Apollo Crews, and we all know why.
Right. Yeah, and I just want to push back on that because I'm so hoping that that's not the case. I almost feel like, if it's not Seth, throw him in the deep end. Make it a triple threat between him, Drew, and Randy next week at Payback. Why not?
I would love it. I would be down. Or you don't give him a feud right away. You have him come in and just fucking squash people.
Just wreck people. That's
and just be like, too. Hey, I'm Keith fucking Lee, and I'm on the main roster. Here I am, and then after he squashes a couple people, then maybe after Roman Drew runs its course, you throw him in, or you throw him in with Seth. But I don't think you need to put him directly into a feud coming straight up. Maybe you just let him squash some people.
How about this? This might sway your feelings on a certain faction. He's the leader of Retribution.
Get the fuck out of here. That's worse than putting him in the Hurt Business.
It is.
Jesus, man.
I just wanted to trigger you.
I have a feeling actually. I think I know who the leader is of Retribution.
Dijakovic?
No, I think it's Kevin Owens.
Oh, interesting.
He was dropping some.
Oh, he kept saying
hints.
Retribution during his.
He was dropping. I think it's him.
Stint.
I think it's him. I think
that'd be interesting.
And I think Aleister Black and Dijakovic are in it.
I'd be kind of into that. That's a good faction right there. I'm into those three guys.
It's a good faction. The gimmick sucks still though.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the reveal. right? Like, yeah, the gimmick isn't great so far, but once they reveal, like you said, we're very, very fickle people, wrestling fans. If it's KO, Dijakovic, and Aleister Black as the faction, we're immediately flipping. We're doing a 180, and we're like, we're in on Retribution. Get us a Retribution shirt.
I will not be flipping. The Retribution angle sucks. It is terrible.
But okay, that's fine. But if it's KO, Dominik Dijakovic, and Aleister Black, you're telling me you're not into Retribution at that point. Is that what you're telling me?
I would say, like, it's interesting, but I mean,
get out of
everything
here.
else about it is terrible. It is bad.
It doesn't. So I'm not saying they have to continue this like anarchist group angle, but like the point is, if it's those three as a faction, you're telling me you're not into that.
I'm telling you, it's interesting.
What a non-answer. You're a jackass.
I mean, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be into it, but I'm also not saying that
the non-answer of all.
I'm gonna withhold judgment until they reveal, but I'm telling you right now, it sucks. Let's move on to something that does not suck, and that was Sonya versus Mandy in an incredible match. These two have chemistry. Sonya Deville is fucking awesome. I hope to God she gets some time where she can really, really recover, because she went through a dramatic experience and really needs time to heal. And I think it's great that the WWE is doing that for her and allowing her to just go away for a while. Just go away, get out of the limelight, and just take care of yourself, because she needs it.
Totally agree. And just in the last episode, we talked about just that whole horrible experience that her and Mandy Rose had to go through with that creep just breaking into their house. And again, it's the last episode, so we can't hear this audio or hear that audio. But just to reiterate, wrestling fans, like, let's do better. Like, let's not be a fucking weirdo and a fucking creep and try to hunt people down because you have these obscure, absurd fantasies about them. Like, just they're just people, man. They're people doing their jobs. Stop being weird. That being said, this we actually said this on Friday. Like, this was one of the best feuds going in, because there's just so much that had gone into it, and they obviously elevated the stakes from hair versus hair to loser leaves WWE, because we assumed that Sonya just needed some time to recalibrate, refresh, and rightfully so, man. Like, going through that is wild, and she has earned that time. She tweeted a little cryptic tweet, I guess you could say, just, before we hopped on, kind of a goodbye, leaning into this angle of she was a loser and she has to leave WWE, but I think she'll be back after some time and after she's refreshed. But
I honestly think she comes back. I think she's off until the Rumble.
I mean, great. I mean, give her some time.
Have her come back and win it.
Yeah, she's a badass. I was talking about this with Drew earlier. Just a big arena entrance, kind of looking the part. Her big arena entrance by herself, which we haven't seen, was incredible. You just looked at her and you're like, oh, she's a goddamn star.
Yep.
And it's about looking the part, and that was phenomenal. And we wish her the best on her recovery, but she's incredible and deserves all the good things.
Hitting those V triggers tonight, man. Those V triggers looked awesome. Those were great. Mandy looked awesome too.
Yeah, she looked good.
This is the most I've actually enjoyed Mandy in the ring, and she was great. One thing that we noticed tonight is the absence of one Mr. Money in the Bank, Otis.
Well, he was there.
The only time that he showed up was after this match. But, like, have they forgotten that he has the briefcase?
I feel like they have. And I think that they just brought him out today to remind everyone that, hey, the briefcase is still here. So sorry about that. But it's just getting to a point now where it doesn't make sense for him to cash in on either of them. Like, I just don't see him beating Drew or Fiend or eventually what's going to be Roman. So they just haven't been putting him in a good position, and they need to reinvigorate that aspect, because we need to remember that at any point either of these champions could get screwed over after a match, or I mean, maybe they're waiting until it's like a heel champ because Otis is so over. I don't know, but in any case, Otis needs more screen time. The briefcase needs more screen time. That's the bottom line.
He just needs to like act like he's going to like cash in, or at least threaten.
Tease.
He hasn't done any of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there was the initial talk about him cashing in for the tag belts. Like, it has completely lost its luster. Like, the briefcase is gone right now. And it really sucks because I love Money in the Bank, and I think it's an excellent angle.
It's a great idea, right. Yeah.
And it can really elevate a character as it did with Dolph Ziggler. It did it with Randy back when he cashed in on Daniel Bryan. It did it with Seth, obviously. Like, if done right, it could really elevate a character, and they've done it all wrong with Otis. And it's really a shame to see. Maybe, what if this happens where he gives could he give the briefcase to Mandy?
Oh, I don't know if the briefcase is transferable. I got to look at the fine print on the briefcase contract, but I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I feel like that's a way for them to work around it, because I feel like they weren't thinking long term when they gave it to Otis.
Oh, everyone popped for it when it happened, right? Like, Twitter went insane. But
like,
it was
I don't think they were like, oh,
time.
Are we actually going to put the belt on Otis? Are we actually going to like put him in a main event storyline? I don't think they thought that through. So maybe they do it and give it to Mandy and have Mandy cash it in on somebody, because she deserves to be in a main event picture. Like, she was in a great storyline.
Yeah. She
just won at SummerSlam. She's got nothing else coming along. Fuck it. Let's get weird with it.
Hey man, that's it's a lot more interesting than him just holding it and not being seen. So if I'm all about that. It's out of the box thinking, and we appreciate that on this show, you know. And
I do it from time to time.
You try,
but yeah, let's wrap that up here. I mean, we're not going to talk about the Street Profits match. They are the longest rating Raw Tag Team Champions. Good for them.
It was a solid match, solid finish.
It was okay. I mean, the Solo Cup Pyro was the highlight for me.
Oh my God. The reigning Solo Cups, all about that.
Yeah.
All about that.
I just hope they get more time on TV, because they're really good. And Montez is, I mean, I rave about him all the time. He's so damn good.
He's going to be in the world title picture in like a year, right? Like, he's so good. He's freakishly good. And that's no shade at Dawkins. Dawkins is good. It's just Montez is just like next level good, where you're like, oh, he's crazy good.
This is a crude comparison, and I don't want people to take it the wrong way, but like,
I'm scared.
It is literally Montez is Booker T and Dawkins is Stevie Ray.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, where you just kind of see the disparity, right? And like,
right.
It's also like it's a Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty thing.
Right. Well, not that bad.
Well, no. Well, sure. But I'm just saying, in terms of like Shawn
and
Michaels,
also Marty Jannetty, literally
Marty
caught
Jannetty,
to murder.
Is a weirdo. But no, what I'm saying is Shawn Michaels, like, even when he was in the Rockers, you're like, oh, he's gonna be a megastar. Like, he's going to be the guy at some point. Just a matter of when they pull that trigger. Montez kind of has that same feel around him. He just has the whole package, right? He's great on the mic. Yeah. The way he interacts with the crowd when crowds are actually there, like, people vibe with that. And his in-ring work is phenomenal. He's so athletic. Like, whenever he would jump off the top rope, I was seeing how high he was getting based on the amount of screens in the crowd, and he damn near got to the top. Every time.
Amount of like quality workers in that match, like 3 of the 4 are 3 of the top workers within the entire company. And Dawkins, I mean, we don't want to shit on him. He is really, really good.
Yeah,
he has paid his dues in the company. He's great. He's done a lot of work, and he is really, really good. But he's just not on the same level as Andrade, Angel Garza, and Montez. Like,
well, those 3 guys are next level, and
that's what I'm saying. Like, he's here, he's good, but the other 3 are just like a level above him, because they have it. And Andrade, he should legitimately be in the main event picture. He's got
incredible
everything. He's got the total package. I just don't know what it is. Maybe it's the language barrier that's causing Vince not to pull the trigger. But his title run in NXT was incredible.
It was excellent.
It was so good.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would love to see him just break off from Angel Garza and challenge Drew McIntyre, because I think those 2 in the ring together would be awesome.
Yeah.
And Zelina's a great mouthpiece.
Oh, she's phenomenal. Every time she's on the screen, she's just so captivating, both just because she's a real, like, manager, She's on the side doing her thing, and she's not stealing the focus. But when she needs to, she'll get involved. And every time she gets involved, it's intriguing, right? She's not just...
Yeah, they even had that. They had their little feud post-WrestleMania where they were kind of going back and forth, but it wasn't a legitimate feud. I just want to see them go at it full bore. So there's a lot of cool things on the table right now. Obviously, we have Payback coming up next week, which is going to be a throwaway. It's like Fastlane all over again. Maybe we'll do something. Maybe we won't.
That might be a crisp 2-hour show. I'm hoping it's a crisp 2-hour pay-per-view.
Yeah, so we'll see. But let's wrap it up. SummerSlam, all for me, was better than last year. This was one of my favorites. I really enjoyed just about everything outside of that, most of the main event. So kudos to everybody. Kudos to the production team for putting together the Thunderdome.
It's great.
Cut down on the cuts for me, please.
Yeah,
just cut down on the cuts.
That part not so great.
Yeah, but make sure that you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Two Jabronis with the Wrestling Podcast. Hit the red button, subscribe, like, comment, do all the good stuff. Really help us out there. You can follow us on social at Two Jabronis Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. And then follow me personally at Jeremy A. Loss, and you can follow Ben at Cruise Control. That's Control with a K.
And don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts. And if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please, please, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling spicy, leave a review. And for our Spotify people, hit us with that follow and help us climb those Spotify charts. All right, everyone, we hope you had a great wrestling weekend. It was a lot of wrestling. A lot of wrestling. I mean, TakeOver was pretty good. Loved that card. We have a new TNT champion in AEW, by the way.
Man, they put Mr. Dark Order over hard on Saturday.
They did
hard.
And so we might get into that tomorrow because we are going to be back for a post Raw show because Keith Lee's on the show, ladies and gents. And
when Keith Lee is on the show, we do a podcast.
Oh, absolutely. Our friend of the show, Adam Knopflet, taking him number 1 during our redraft a few weeks ago. It has aged like a fine wine. It has aged beautifully, and we commend him for that endlessly. Anytime we talk
genius
about
move.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone. We'll catch you in a little bit. Hope you enjoy this little SummerSlam / TakeOver weekend review. We'll catch you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay home if you can. If you can't, wear a mask. And always and forever, Black Lives Matter.
And to our listeners in Northern California, please stay safe. There's some crazy wildfires, so please stay safe.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. We'll catch you soon. Peace.